I love you. That's how the story ends. That's what the shyest of the women, Hélène, said at our last coaching workshop. And I'll tell you why that's so important. Because in nothing are we more equal as human beings than in love. It's free, mutual, and spontaneous exchange. It's because what she didn't say was, thank you. She realized and she understood that basically we had never given her anything. We had only made her realize that she already had in herself the freedom to live the life that she wanted. And that brings me back to 2 years ago when I started this crazy adventure. And it was a period of convalescence, and I had a lot of time to ask myself existential questions. And I was volunteering for a women's organization. And I'm doing this exercise with the woman next to me. She is beautiful and inspiring, and all of a sudden she's struggling, and she says, well, up until now, I've been illiterate. And she said, to read and write is the greatest freedom in life. And those words have stuck with me ever since. I laughed and I said, I've been struggling with my bodily functions, so I'm pretty sure that health is the biggest freedom in life. But in the end, we were both selling ourselves short. We were both not defining what freedom is. We were defining what it's not. Freedom is about living your life with choice. And that's when I embarked on this mission. That's when I tried to give women the life that they had always dreamed of. And I hear stories like hers, or stories that are a little different, almost every day since I embarked on this journey. The women are between the ages of 20 and 70, and they have nothing in common except that they have suffered at some point in their lives some sort of violence. And, well, what makes them remarkable is not what the past that they've had, it's what they've become. I'm here to tell you not about their wounds, but to honor the leaders that they've become. I'm here to tell you about Soraya, who created a jewelry business that wants to give back to children in developing countries. I'm here to tell you about Julie, who supplies fashionistas in Africa with clothes to recycle from France. I'm here to tell you about Olympia, who wants to help women in isolation through her jewelry business, or Annie, who makes beautiful art, or Dorcas, who made me this beautiful skirt in an effort to help women who are in Africa and have struggled with understanding their mixed origins. And I want to say that that's what happens when you take people from a place of vulnerability and you take them to a place of leadership. And I want to tell you about how we go through that transformation, because in a way, these women took a leap of faith because they found themselves in a situation of crisis. But we are all them. We all have a life that we're not living, and we all have something that happened to us and that stopped us on our path. And so that launched me into this quest of, well, how did we get there? How did we give them the freedom to transform and to interpret their past? Well, the first step is that you really have to find your place of highest contribution. And make sure that you're giving the world the best version of yourself, your full potential. And I learned this day one, because I had organized a workshop for the women in which we were sitting in a circle and they had to say just their passion and their name and present their neighbor. And it was a total disaster. Nobody spoke. As I said, maybe I'm really not cut out for this at all. So it was so bad that somebody, she even came up on scene, Karine, and she said, Alexandra refuses to speak. And I said, okay, well, this is not a great sign. And then I was leaving the room, thinking, what the hell did I do wrong? One of the women stops me and she says, that was amazing. I said, what? What do you mean? And she says, nobody has ever asked us what we wanted. And it made me think about how many times we don't even ask ourselves that question. And why is that so important? Well, actually, I learned about that from Soraya, one of the women in my program, who's here today. So one day she comes in crying, and she's absolutely in tears, and she says, you know what, I quit. I'm a single mother. I have had enough. I've gone through a lot of stress in my life. This is happening. I struggle to make it to the end of the month. I don't want to be here. And I said, oh my God, what have I done? I've just gotten 100 people engaged in helping these women pursue their dreams, and maybe I should be like everybody else who's telling them to settle, who's telling them, get a job, do something. And then I thought to myself, well, I can't keep her here. I can't do anything. And it's complete coincidence, if you believe that such a thing exists in life, that day they were filming in the next room a video. They were doing a video workshop to learn how to present themselves in front of a camera. And I was not in the filming room, so I had no idea what was going on. And I actually got somebody to do the video editing so many months later, and for free. And when I saw it, I started crying because it was that very same day. And she said, the person behind the camera asks her, so how do you see life? And she goes, are you kidding with everything I've said? I see life as positive. I see life as beautiful. I see that there are only good things to come. And you know what? I know it's going to be hard, and I know that I'm going to break my neck, and I'm going to fall, and it's going to get really hurt, but I'm going to get up. I'm going to get up because I decided to see my life this way. And I made that choice for myself. I'm the marathon man. And Soraya should have said marathon woman, but that's okay. But it made me think about that perseverance only comes when you really find that goal, that energy to get up after the fall. And I think about what I have struggled with in coming here today, and I've been basically the runaway speaker, and I canceled this talk and decided to come back, and I couldn't do it until I understood why am I here? And I said, the only reason I see that I'm here and that I'm here is to tell you about the amazing people that I've been with in this adventure and what they've taught me, so that maybe they can help you make the choices that are so hard to make in your own life. And so, you get people to a place where they're dreaming, but freedom is not just about dreaming. Freedom is about being able to take action. And things come to people who take action. And I learned that, actually, from Julie, because she came from another incubator in Paris. And she said, you know what, I've completely failed at this exercise that they gave me, where I had to do this customer satisfaction, understanding exercise, and they told me I had 2 days to do it, and I just said, it's impossible. And I said, okay, well, why? And she said, I'll never forget this. She said, I said, Julie, well, why are you able to do it here? What's the difference? And she said, you know what? Because I spent 2 days and you guys forced me for 2 days to make a work of art. And I had no idea how to use these video tools, and I sat there for 2 days, and I figured it out. And I went to the end of it, and I made it. And when I made that, I said, you know what? Everything is possible, because I figured it out, and I made it in 2 days, and I know that I can get to the end of whatever I need to get to. And I think that's what's the most important thing, is maybe the first steps, the smallest, are not the most obvious. And sometimes we're just waiting for that brilliant idea. We're waiting for that brilliant idea that we need to give to the world, but actually it's the world who's waiting for you. And no words have probably stuck with me more than those of Annie when Olympia presented her jewelry. And she said, you know, I had this idea of making these bracelets which express the story of Jesus Christ. And you know what, I kind of got inspired by this old man I met in Spain. And she said, I feel like there's nothing original in this. And Annie goes, I believe that God has not registered his trademark. And that's it. It's all about the execution. It's about how you do things. But in order to do things, you need to get into action. And that's what creativity is. Creativity is not genius. Creativity is giving yourself the right to fail, the ability to fail. Creativity is forgiveness, and creativity is about transforming everything that you have into a future that you want. And what happens when you get into action and you become creative? And you start defining yourself according to those actions. And nobody's ever taught me that more than Philippine, a woman in my program who sells Austrian clothing. And she was packing her boxes, which her company has surprisingly and amazingly flourished since she was shown in L'Officiel. And her daughter was next to me as I was talking to her. And her daughter tells me how her mother is so happy, she calls it to go to school. And I said, really? That's in her mother, she says her mother has changed. And she said, so you help all the women like my mother, obviously as a reference to her mother's past. And I said, no, I help all the women like your mother who want to make their projects a reality. And that's about redefining yourself according to your future that you decide for yourself. And you can make that choice for free every day. And nothing is more representative of everything that we've been through this year than how we got here today. So it starts with one crazy day in November, when we did this exercise where we copied this homeless man called Kyle McDonald, who traded up a red trombone until he got to a house. And we did the same thing with a plastic pen, and we got very far. And one of the people whose offices we stormed in for a trade, Maritza, is here today as well. And it goes very, very far. And then we learned how to make videos. So the women said, are you kidding? This is happening in Barcelona? You think we're missing out? And so they said, we're going to crowdfund to get there. I said, okay. They made their own video, and they put up a website. I said, this is crazy, but let's do it. Let's do it. And I said, who is going to give to women that they've never met, to go from Paris to Barcelona to go to a TEDx? Well, you know what? They started trading their things. At first, they put all their objects on the website. So we had earrings, we had a lot of kind of the things also that you see on me today. And then, they said, you know what? Mentors, give in. Can you give me a free hour of coaching? Can you give me a free hour of sophrology? And together, they built more and more value to the website, and people who they had never even met gave up hours to get them to Barcelona. And then I said, okay, but who's going to donate the money? And actually, people gave from Vladivostok to Tokyo to Norway to Houston to Boston to New York to different countries around Africa to everywhere in the world to get these women who they've never even met here today. And I want to say that about half of those were men, so even greater. And I said, well, it made me ask why. And I said, it's obvious. It's obvious why. Because this is what happens when you have a dream and you make it come true, is that it echoes around the world. And people didn't give for the women who they didn't know. People gave for themselves. People gave because they saw in us the beautiful thing that comes when humanity comes together around a project and the community that we tried to form and what we stand for, which is the eternal regeneration of human beings, and that everything is possible, and that's what we've become an example of. And not only are they here today, but we said, okay, so we have this community that relies on basically on belief, funded only on belief, and now crowdfunding. And so we said, you know what? Well, today we're in Barcelona, so this is our chance to try a new business model, which is collaborative live crowdfunding. Because we have to get back to Paris. So we want to leave you with one last thing, which is we love you. And before I get off the stage, I want to pass the voice to those who gave me a voice today. So please all come on stage with me. And Marissa and Eric and Amelie also come. They're going to hold an entrepreneurship festival that they've designed for women entrepreneurs in Paris soon. So this is a great start.
Nice.